right, we just ate lunch.
Some
Good.
pizza.
That pizza was out. That was awesome.
Dave Portnoy, 8.2.
Yep.
Oh, geez.
What was it called again? Antico?
Anticos.
Anticos.
Right, so if you're going to land in Georgia, Anticos. That's
Really
good. Where you need to be.
But don't order going for the experience, because the experience makes
Dude, the
pizza
experience
taste
is
better.
great.
Yeah.
That's a good
Yeah, you have to
experience.
go there and eat.
Yeah.
In, out, just freaking delicious.
To be fair, I've Uber Eats it before, and it's still really good.
All right, let's go. 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the ASOM Pod, where we talk a lot. E-com is the path that we walk a lot. From 4 point of views when we're talking shop.
What is up, guys? Welcome back. Episode 3, guys. Dudes, we did 3. That means we've done more than 1, 2. Now 3. This is
We're
good.
getting there.
We're rolling in
getting
this, and I feel like we're getting more and more comfortable here, and I'm getting better at name calling too. So with that, I want to introduce, make sure everyone knows. We got John Roman here, co-founder, CEO of BattlBox, the largest subscription survival box out in the world, and there is also a hit show on Netflix called Southern Survival. We got Amer.
Drum roll.
Here we go.
Drum.
Cue the
Amer
mispronunciation.
Grozdanic.
Good.
Yeah?
Good. That's
We're-
two
we're-
drinks I owe you.
2 drinks, we're good. I don't really drink, but I'll take him in bubbly water. It's fine. He's the man of website experiences, famous for servicing people like Billie Eilish or LeBron James, Paris Hilton. So he creates great experiences. And then we got Bryan MacDonald, not to be confused, McDonald,
Yep, not the restaurant.
director of e-commerce at Oma's Pride, that produces the original raw food.
Yeah, the first raw pet food to market. Yep.
Yep, there you go. And also his Instagram is what's that? Anything but salad. So if you like meat, this is the guy to follow. He's got hilarious shit on meat online. And my name is Jimmy Kim. I'm the founder and CIO of Sendlane, and I'm excited here today, guys. Excited for our agenda here today. Today we're gonna jump in, and we've been teasing this for a couple weeks now as we've been going through this pod, but we're going to talk about AI because there's a lot of things we can talk about AI. It's not just one thing, I think. There's so much to talk about when it comes to AI, guys. Like, not just what can AI do, what's a chatbot, but like how platforms are integrating, how it can apply our businesses, and also the future outlook of like how we're looking at it. I think it's really going to be interesting as we think about the perspective of all 3 of us. Right? Or 4 of us. I'm sorry, why do I confuse it? Me plus the 3 of us, in that we've got, a brand side thinking about AI, which I think is going to think differently, right? Than maybe an agency, right? How can you do things versus a SaaS company, which we got a hot take that we're going to talk about. We've been teasing this about how I look at AI and the disruption of what it might be to do to SaaS over the years, and how I've been thinking about it because I see it, and I don't say worry about it. It's how I need to adapt into it, right? So let's kick this thing off. Like, let's talk AI. Who wants to jump in? Who's got a good start to this topic?
I mean, I love your hot take.
All right. We're gonna start on a hot take just for the people to think about it. So my hot take is very simple. SaaS is probably dead in the next 5 to 10 years, and the reason why is because I look at the cycle of software. And if anyone's been around in like the 2000 to 2010, 12 era, it was all about downloadables and self-installables. So you would get a hosted box, you would download the platform that you have, and then you'd pay like a service fee to maintain for updates and upgrades, right? And just like everything in the world, cycles are changing in this world. And one of the cycles I see is that AI is starting to enable people who aren't coders, people who aren't engineers, people who but that they have a great idea to be able to create that. Now, you think about this in software, it's easier to copy a software than it is to develop a brand new one, right? Because all the thought process, the logic has been thought about. And I look at AI into the future, and my hot take is that AI changes the way software is. Maybe SaaS dies, and maybe it's ass. It's artificial intelligence as a service, maybe. I don't know where it goes, but my take is that SaaS is going to become incredibly hard and commoditized because it's going to be easier and easier and cheaper to build. And, my mission is obviously to figure out how to pivot there. So I know these 2 guys have said, hey, that doesn't sound right, because they said, hey, I want to go build a SaaS. So I'm going to start with you, John. When you heard that, and you said that last night, when I said that, you drove home and you thought about it. So it was on your mind after I said it. So let's talk about that, dude.
Yeah, so I think it was on my mind because I don't think it's out of left field. I'm looking at AI in the lens and the perspective of a company, of marketing, of how we can utilize it and be more efficient. And I hadn't thought of it outside of my my purview. And thinking about it, yeah, like I literally I have a layover AARPM or something that
Yeah.
goes on top of my chat GPT, and I see it every day. It's like code in Python and another option, and there's always several coding options, and I see it, don't even think about it, but it's so easy now to code. You can literally just tell ChatGPT what you want to build in the language, and it'll build it. And just like everything else, where the prompt matters and making revisions, but I hadn't even thought about it until you said that, and now like I actually agree with you. I see how it pivots into maybe it's AI as a service.
The acceleration is occurring, right?
Yeah.
Like we know how fast we're on what ChatGPT 4 now, I think, right?
4.0.
4.0, right?
Yep.
That's what it's called now. And it just continues to change so fast. Like of any product in the world, I've never seen one that's just taken off, and it's because of the self-learning. And obviously it's actually building itself a little bit, you know? So I think it's great. I mean, Amer, like you're building website experiences for brands, and you start thinking about AI and where the world goes there. How have you thought about it, man?
I think it's I want to say like a competitor. The way you're putting it, I think is empowerment, and it's going to be up to the agencies, including us. How do we want to adapt AI to be more streamlined in everything that we do? I'll use an example. Like for example, when somebody comes to us as a brand new website, and we want to figure out who's their audience, who are we actually building for. Because when we build experiences, I don't say I'm necessarily building it for John or BattlBox. I'm trying to figure out what's the best way to build for their members or customers. So one of the things I like to do, I like to take, let's say, their top 1,000 customers, VIP customers. I anonymize the data, meaning instead of having like their emails or their names, I'll create unique IDs. I'll take that data and I will put into ChatGPT, and I'll start to run analysis against all the data in those tables. And it will tell me, 60-40% men and women, or whatever the case is. That now takes me maybe 30 minutes to an hour to do once I have the data like sorted and structured, where before it took me a full day.
Yeah.
That's an efficiency.
Yeah.
And I think in that way it can empower. Already Shopify started to do some AI things where you can do theme edits through AI and all of that stuff. And I think that will continue. So I think I do agree with you. I think there's going to be a change where we see more hiring of AI engineers opposed to software engineers. But I think those AI engineers are going to still have to have the skill set of software engineers and how things work. So I think we're just going to shift in the way we build, and we're going to build quicker. And I think potentially we're going to kind of had what we had 10 years ago, because we kind of went through this enablement before as well, where there's going to be a saturation of platforms, which anyone can build it now. Like in the 90s, it was you build it, they'll come.
Yeah.
In the 2010s, it was like, holy crap, there's so much out there.
Yeah.
We consolidated, and I think AI is going to create the same thing, but the companies who have the best user experiences, the best customer service, the best onboarding, everything we talked in the previous episodes, are the ones that are going to win.
Interesting.
But when does AI kill us though?
I don't think so. Here's the thing: we have to think about software, AI, and everything. Who's AI getting to buy and build for? It's us. At the end of the day, we are the ultimate user of the platform. I don't think the platform can function without us. I think it can empower decision making, but I think it's still going to lean on us. What direction do we go in?
So I think that's true as of now. But what you just mentioned, how much it's exponentially grown, and how quickly, it makes me think, and it was almost laughable previously. You look at the horrible example, but like Terminator movies, right? Stuff like that, where it's all the way to the far right of crazy. But watching how fast it's moving, like I don't think that's necessarily going to happen. But
I mean, look at the automotive industry. From Henry Ford starting the assembly line until now, you had more efficiency, less need for humans to be in the assembly line and everything like that. Then you had robotics come in. Now you're having AI come in. It's also creating new jobs. It's not just about like, oh, this is going to make things obsolete. You still have a ton of humans employed in factories and everything. given all the efficiencies, but there's new things that come with that, new requirements, new
Okay,
jobs.
so it'll create new jobs. It's going to kill some industries.
Oh, yes.
But it'll create new is what
100%.
you're saying.
Well,
Okay.
Yeah.
the horse and carriage wheel guy is no longer. He still found a new job, right?
Yeah.
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 It's true.
You know, and like horse and carriage, you could arguably say was killed off by the car.
But
Yeah.
the thing is, like, do you want to adapt to it or you
Sure.
want to be a stubborn guy? I remember seeing videos from the 1980s and 1990s with like TI calculators and all of that, and teachers freaking out, like, oh my God. And I ran across an article. There was a teacher that spoke about AI, and they were like, well, now AI can write papers for your kids. And she was like, I'm okay with that. They're like, what do you mean? They can write them, but what I have to do is change my teaching style.
Yeah.
Now, once they hand in the paper, I'm going to ask them to explain the knowledge they retained through that process. And if they still know the same things as they wrote it,
Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The goal is learning.
the
right?
path is different.
Oh,
What do you-
that's
Yeah.
What do you think, Brian?
I two thoughts. A current thought is the way that we utilize UI, at least for my team, is more so for content. Anyone can shoot content. It's the piece of editing it that takes forever, right?
Yeah.
That's the part that we don't have time or money for. So when we post up clips, like I'll take this clip right now and I'll put it through an AI software. You'll have the subtitles right here, and it took me no time at all. And you'll see it happening real time, right, as I'm talking. But so utilizing it in different aspects of social media. But what I'm seeing, at least the kids that live in my neighborhood, some of them are actually using AI to help start their business, where these young kids now, I feel like it's going to facilitate a little bit more entrepreneurship, because the barrier to entry in regards to the things that oh, wow, I got to get a logo. I need like a brand guide. All right, now this is all done now, through AI.
like that.
So there's a kid in the neighborhood that started a landscaping business, and business cards, logo, website, all of it was AI. And he's like, I just did it in my bedroom, and like, I'm like legit now, right? Where that I feel like that younger, especially Gen Z, et cetera, are going to start utilizing the advancements. And I think we're going to see the level of entrepreneurs go up as AI continues to advance. So yes, it's going to take away jobs, but I think it's going to empower the new generation, because like I said, that easier barrier to entry, get into, opening up their own businesses.
So like the website is a great example. So if we go back, and I've gone through this multiple times. In 90s, when I built my first website, I was doing inline code for everything.
Yeah, of course.
It was frames, it was tables. Then here comes WordPress, and everybody was
No, there was front page. You remember that?
Front page,
There was
Dreamweaver.
Front page.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yep.
yeah.
What happened to front page?
Front page 98 was, I think, the last version.
Dude,
I
front
think
page
right
was
off.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but then you had something like that, and everyone was like, "Oh, coders are going to lose their jobs."
Yeah.
No, because people are lazy; they don't want to do the work.
100%.
Yep.
Then we got into WordPress and templates, and then we got into the Wixes of the world and everything else. Guess what? I still have a job 20 years later, because people. There's two things that are important here: time, where you mentioned with AI, and two is you still have to be an expert at these things. You have to be an expert AI prompt.
Yeah.
You have to do all these things. So I think there's going to be specialists, just like there's developers today, and people are still going to have these jobs, and they're going to collaborate with AI, opposed to collaborate maybe, I don't know, with me or somebody else and things like that.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of time that still needs to be added to this. I think what Brian said, like the acceleration of time is definitely there. The 10x marketer effect, like less team, more output, essentially, that can happen at that side. But we're also, I think that, you look at any cycle of anything, crypto or, anything technological that's changed, right? Even VR and AR and stuff, we're still pretty early. I think there's a lot. I mean, the first winner is not always the winner of them all, right? OpenAI may win. Google won, but Google wasn't the first guys.
No.
I mean, yeah, we were on Yahoo.
Remember Lycos?
Oh, Lycos? Ask
Alta
Jeeves.
Vista?
Ask Jeeves.
Yeah.
Oh, Jeeves.
Oh, we used to do all of these things, if you think back, right? And we went through one thing or another, and then Google came out. I still remember the day Google came out. It was this white page that said Google, and it's like, Google me. And I was like, Google what?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All right, I'm going to just type something in.
Yeah.
And that's how ChatGPT and like AI started, right? When it came out, everyone was talking about it. They're like, I can have conversations with myself with a computer, right? That's all you could do at first. But so fast, to your point, in the last, year and a half or so, like boom, 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 update. Now suddenly you got layers, data, this, that. But it's funny because my CTO, who is a big data scientist and got a lot of machine learning behind him, he's like the kind of like, that ain't real AI. That's just like filler stuff, right? It's like, if you can write your subject line, like that's not AI. That's just a large language model that has taken some algorithms and applied them in, right? And I see that AI becomes where it can congregate and make data faster. And I think there's a little bit of misconception. Remember cloud? Cloud? Remember how, dude, when I signed up for Shopify Plus in 2013 or 14, whenever it was, I remember they were like, lower your merchant rates and give you cloud. And I was like, oh shit, I need cloud. And I was like, oh shit, I need cloud. That's going to make my brand more successful. I don't know, but that was their first offering back in the day. It was cloud.
Yeah.
And I thought it was so special, but it turns out all it was just siloed instances of computers, basically. And now it's in a single box with hundreds of cloud instances that are occurring, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting how the world goes. So we start progressing, and my take is that, and I think it's perfect because the take is showing that. Let's talk about it on the brand side. I want to kind of hear a perspective of like, when you thought about AI, right? How did you start that thought process? Like, okay, what can I do in my business? How can I make this better?
Yeah. So when we identified, hey, there's got to be a way to increase efficiency here, right? It was consistently day after day, week after week, month after month, drilling into the team over and over again. Hey, think about AI all the time. And when you're doing your daily activities, ask yourself, write it down in front of you. How can I use AI for this? And start training your brain to start thinking that, and it's going to start giving you the answers. And that's how we embraced it, right? We tried to find stuff we were currently doing and just ask, because I think it's human nature not to keep going through your mundane tasks, but actually take a moment. How can I use AI on this? And start training yourself on how to do it. And I think that's where we saw efficiencies.
And I'm assuming most people, like at least I go into my brand side of my head and I go, if I was a brand and I saw AI, the first thing I would think about is customer service, because it's a cost, right? It's a big part of your costs that come into play. Have you thought about that, man? Have you thought about customer service's future?
So customer service, I have a slightly different view on it. So our customer service department is a profit center for us. It has been for over 2 years now. Generates a nice return on investment. Typically, any given month, it's about 4 or 5 to 1, which is wild.
That's super strong.
Yeah. So we've been a little bit hesitant on the AI front with CS, and I think AI will get there. I still haven't seen something that an intelligent person with certainty knows something's off.
EQ, right? It's EQ, emotional intelligence.
And that's the missing piece. And it'll I'm sure it'll get there. But for me, because CS is that first touch, that customer facing, I'm so hesitant to do it. We've looked at AI chatbots and AI messaging on certain things, but it's going to be one of the last things we do because it's just so paramountly important to the business and the experience.
Same question. Small business, a little bit different. I mean, you guys are, whatever, but like small business and that the mindset you guys have. How not you, but I'm curious about your founders, being that they're, or the people who are operating the top there that have, family business, 40 years. I mean, these things change big fundamentals about the business. How are they thinking? Like, what do they say when you tell them AI?
Yeah. So I think the first AI hurdle bringing it to the company was utilizing Gorgias, because Gorgias has a really cool AI article recommendation feature in their automated section. And before, they had a live chat bot, right? You had email, you had phone, all on different platforms. And I'm like, how are we tracking these people? Oh, they say they're doing a good job. It's like, okay, well, it's, we can't really just go on the word, right? So I'm like this, I did a bunch of research and Gorgias came recommended to me from a bunch of folks. So I'm like, here, how about we start with Gorgias, right? I'm going to show you what it can do. And not necessarily AI specific, but those generalized questions that consumers came to us for, where's my shipment? When is it going to be here? I want to cancel an order. But then also, utilizing, we have an awesome blog, right? So Gorgeous takes like the AI, I think it's called AI article recommendations. And it'll literally populate the blog with the question that they have. But we also always follow it up by, if you would like to speak further, here's our, speak to a live person or give us a call. But it helped automate the initial like process where before we would have one person answering like 400 different things in a day, and 80% of them were all generalized, questions, right? So now I'm like, listen, let's just give this a shot, right? So like the first month, it freed up like 60 something % of her time was not spent. Hey, all right, now I got to take, where's my order, copy and paste, find the tracking code or find her customer ID, go into this platform and see where it is. Next thing you know, now she's able to make, like I was talking about before, those outreach calls, right? Now she's able to utilize her time and maybe, get someone that was off a subscription back on, right? Maybe she's able to reach out and retain someone. And it's this, it costs us the same amount of money, but now it frees up our customer services time in order to make those other, calls that benefit the company. So that's sort of like, wow, like this is crazy. We have customer service all in one platform, and all of these things can be automated for the consumer. Like, yeah, like it's 2024, and it just opened their eyes, and that's very simple, right? That's why I like talking about, like when we talk high level, relating it down to those small businesses, because, utilizing things like this that you thought, oh, it's too expensive, I can't afford to go this way, when, all of this software and all of this education is out there to really help grow your business and not cost you a nut. You know what I mean? Yeah. So
can I ask a question, kind of like just reverse something too, which I love that story. I love what John shared. One thing that worries me is kind of like, I feel it's going to be a .ai bubble, just the way there was a .com bubble. And there's all these platforms, and I think you might have mentioned it. I don't know if it's in a previous podcast when we were talking about it too. And I think your co-founder said that, your CTO too, is like AI, but it's not actually AI. But all these companies are buying the AI domain names, position themselves as artificial intelligence, when they're just masking it.
Yeah.
And I think, unfortunately, like the dangers of that, and how many maybe businesses are thinking, especially like smaller businesses that may not have accessibility to tech leaders and whatever the case is, thinking, hey, I'm using an AI platform, it's going to do all these wonderful things for me.
People are going to get hosed.
Yeah.
People are going to get scammed.
But any good revolution requires a bubble and explosion.
Yeah.
Right? Crypto imploded 3 times on us now, and we're on another rise again. Right? And burned a lot of freaking people along the way. The .com bubble was probably, I would say it was exacerbated. Like it was huge in 2001 when the first one happened. There was definitely another one in like 2016-ish, right? Right around that time, another one happened. It wasn't as big of a bubble, but it popped for sure. But I think that's part of how a good business ultimately runs. Like, I mean, not business, but industry is born ultimately. The revolution occurs. And I agree with you. I think there needs to be some level of bubble. And you're right. Like, it's amazing how a technology person may look at AI very differently than like an end consumer. An end consumer thinks that, wow, this thing is chatting back to me. Right. This is the most incredible thing. And us, someone who's been around a little bit, we're like, okay, but what else? Like, tell me something different, new that I haven't seen before, because I've seen chatbots. Remember? Right. You guys remember chatbots? Yeah.
They were huge.
It was the hottest thing in the world. And then what the heck happened to them? No one uses chatbot. We want real experiences. Oh, sorry.
No, just got right in the eye.
Right in the eye, dude. Sorry about that. For those who are watching on the video, I might have spit and whatever.
Brian's right eye.
Right eye. It's okay. I had good pizza.
I thought you were crying.
That's just Jimmy's saliva dripping down my nose.
Oh, you're allergic to saliva too.
Yeah. All right. But yeah, I'm going down the bubble. Like I do think about it. But you know what? I'm gonna give the SaaS perspective about it, because we've had a lot of conversations in the company about AI and the idea about it. Look, it's not that we don't need to go do it, but I think the first movers, to your point, are gonna cause themselves their own pain.
Yep.
Because they're putting the time and effort into the wrong places. I started using AI internally in our business to help understand it within the company. So through Slack channels and running reports and data thing analysis, we're using AI and we're learning what it's going to be helpful for our businesses, because we firmly believe if you learn what you can use it for and utilize it for, you can teach others out and actually build a great product around it, right? And so we didn't jump into the let's go build subject lines so you can have a chat GPT wrapper around your stuff. That's just, unfortunately, that's a gimmick, and this goes back to marketers ruin everything. Like, this is just how
it's a gimmick.
It's like when cloud came out, and I thought it was an incredible thing because I got sold on it. But
cloud.
Later on, a couple of years later, I learned on cloud's kind of stupid, and I can get little, whatever. So
yeah. I think of it like a tree, and a lot of people think that AI is gonna be the new tree. I think the trunk still remains the same, but AI just becomes like a couple branches on the tree to help really facilitate that overall tree. You know what I mean? So it's not going to be that entire tree, but it is going to take over a few branches to help the tree grow even more, Yeah,
I think high level, the way we're looking at AI in general is, okay, so we have, we have 40 employees. How can we get the efficiency of 60?
Nice.
Just 60, that's 3x is going to be happy for you, right? Like I always say 10x because I'm like, anything that can 10x us, like software and stuff, is always like the key to like unlock, right? But even 3x should be extremely happy.
Well, then 40 is 120. But like if we can multiply, it's huge.
Well, there's a theory that with a lot of the stuff that's coming out, that companies will get smaller, to your point, and be able to execute bigger. So like the dream is like a $3 to $5 million business that's selling something of some, whatever it might be, videos changing or whatever. And you don't have very many people because your chatbots, the AI, the software is developing itself with some prompt engineers.
Your content's being pumped out.
Yeah, your content's being pushed out automatically. Your marketing is, a little bit genericized, but it still will ultimately work,
So do you think of AI, and that's a good point what you mentioned. I think where we a lot of times go offshore for those like mundane repetitive tasks, and at least from the US side, we try to minimize it because it's not like a specialty skill. Do you think those jobs are going to be impacted the most at first?
Well, it could either be impacted or they could be accelerated. I'm not sure there, because it's like, hey, could you take a foreign person, like an offshore person, and I go to, let's say, India, for example, right? Like you guys do. And if I'm in India and I teach this guy AI and I can 10x him, now I've just gotten 10x more value at a ridiculously low cost.
Or they'll be able to service more clientele, especially if it's a freelancer, which could also potentially reduce the workforce because one person can take 10 clients opposed to 5. But it's an interesting, I don't know, the impacts globally are going to be.
Yeah, I think to both of your points, we'll see it on both sides of the spectrum.
Yeah.
We'll see people that adapt and excel, and we'll see people that shut down and can't figure it out. And
my biggest concern with it came actually during the social media / Google trials with Congress, and how little our leaders understand technology. It's so freaking scary.
It's crazy.
And it worries me that there's going to be guardrails put in place that are too severe for this actually to advance where it could to benefit greater humanity.
I think there's already guardrails being put in place. Now like Sam Altman is like out there trying to like lobby basically around. Yeah. And I feel like he's lobbying for guidelines, which is kind of interesting.
He wants the
I guess he's trying to protect, right? Like there's like, remember that letter that Elon wrote about AI and how it's going to destroy humanity? To your point about Terminator.
Elon thinks that's the way it goes.
I think some level you gotta also remember, like if you have no EQ and you can take something and create ultimate knowledge and understanding, it could take over the world.
But here's the thing. And I feel AI is kind of like nuclear weapons. Everyone wants to have it. So like, let's say we put in United States, let's say Canada, whatever, Western world, however you want to depict it, extreme guardrails where this can develop. Let's say Germany wakes up tomorrow and says, you know what? Do whatever the hell you want with it. We want to see how far we can take this. Which side do you want to be on?
No, it's a good point. Like if there's going to be regulation, there's going to be guardrail. It has to be globally.
Yeah.
And which will not happen.
No.
Yeah.
Because if I'm another major country, I'm like, yeah, you guys do your guardrails, you idiots. I'm gonna advance.
And if you're a third world country, the last thing you're worried about is AI in your life right now.
Yeah.
You're worried about all the other things that are happening in your country.
Yeah.
But I think it will be kind of like nuclear weapons where people are going to say, like, we're going to develop ours. We're going to have them in our corner. We'll comply with international law. But if somebody uses it, we're ready to use ours.
So interesting.
Okay, so recent ways you used AI.
Yeah.
Content for me.
Okay.
Content.
Like when you say content,
like content meaning like so before I would say like a couple years ago when I was just like making content for, you know, when I was in the gun industry, you know, a 60-second reel would take me 20, 30, 40 minutes to make, you know, by the time you add graphics in, captions and do your cuts, you know, now and the way I treat AI with marketing is I just want it to get me to 80%.
Right.
Because it'll never, in the creativity mind, it'll never get me to 100 because only I see what I want. Yep. But if it gets me to 80, then it can cut down 80% of my time, at least getting the foundation built, the like it gets my house without the walls painted. Yeah. Right. And that's essentially what.
And you want to paint the walls anyway.
I want to paint the walls. Well, yes, but my wife wanted me to paint the whole house when we bought the house. I go, babe, I'm not doing the whole house. She's like, you got to do the whole house. I like the way you paint. I go, no, I'm not painting the whole house. Right? So I wish it was AI back then when, to paint the walls.
One day there'll be a machine that does it and just rubs up your wall and back and forth and just paints your house. Could you imagine? You're like, I want a blue house today. Come on back home and there's a blue house.
That can't be that far away.
No, it can't actually. Be. But, you know, consumer, right? So like any good adoption of technology, it starts in B2B often. Like if you look back at like how did computers start, how did it spread, like Lotus 1, 2, 3, like how did that all, it was all business related when it started, right? And I think it's happening right now where they're trying to figure it out in business, but the world is such a different place than it was even 10, 20 years ago. And I think the speed is just faster of getting the information out. Yeah. And that's clearly what's happening. And everyone has their own theory. And whatever we think about it, I mean, we may be right or wrong, but we have no idea where we're going. We could be in Terminator 10
Yeah, could be.
And
could
running
be
away.
Judgment Day.
Yeah,
They're coming for us.
Yeah. Germany could be listening to this right now and developing something, you know?
Here's my big thing with Jack Dorsey, founder of Twitter. He has a quote that I firmly believe in as leaders, and however you want to, you know, define that, is don't be a writer, be an editor. And I think the way I look at AI, it allows me to do a lot of tasks where I'm the editor. It will give me the rough draft. It will give me 80% of the way there. Yeah. And then I put my final touches and my voice to it. Yeah. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's actually talking about efficiency and everything like that. And whether you're a leader or whether you are an entry-level position, if you can become an editor, I think you just empower yourself that much more.
Yeah. Okay, so recent example of you using it.
For me was when I shifted doing persona modeling. That's like the earlier example I used. Another thing that I would do. So for example, I will, when Shopify releases editions, as an example, and they write a blog, and let's say I am busy with calls that day, but I know there was a release, I will take that website, drop it into ChatGPT and say, give me a summary. And I get an idea, and then I'm like, okay, I want to look at these 2-3 things. So it's almost like creates an index for me of what I want to prioritize. I think is most important to us.
It's like your analyst almost.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay. It's a good example.
That's a good. I on the most rudimentary side, I use it for social media and helping me with my grammar and spelling and my basic stuff, right? But at the deeper side, as I said, like we have it hooked up to our Slack channels. We use this tool called Threadio, Thread.io, I think is what it was. AI, maybe, I don't know. I can't remember, but it's a good tool. And basically it hooks up to your Slack, your documents and stuff. And we use this as an internal tool when in some of our channels, when you Slack in a question, our AI answers first.
Oh, cool.
Instead of a human, because, you know, we're a customer service centric.
I want this.
See?
Yeah, me too. Where's my phone?
It's like Threadio.io or AI. It's one of those. It's probably AI.
Now I might be out of a job.
Yeah, I don't know, but basically it answers those questions for you. You continue to train it and you start teaching it things that you can learn for the tool, for whatever knowledge base you're trying to make it an expert into. So we've been working on it internally, and we've got someone full-time working on training that AI model, because what we're hoping for is eventually we can add it to Slack channels to our customers, for example. And though it might not be always right, we're clear that it's AI responding. but we want to try to give that faster answer, even faster than we are today.
That's awesome.
And that's kind of the go. Then the second layer, the deeper side of it, the part that I like enjoying myself is I personally have been dabbling just because as a technology leader, it's my job to like look and understand what's going on in the market. So, I played with Auto-GPT. I've done all like across a lot of things that I don't truly understand, but I just keep tapping on it and playing with it. I've gotten some data things working out pretty cool for me now where I can spit out data from things. I've got things tracking. I've got little things happening, and I see so much potential because as I'm learning like prompting a bit more and continuing to learn, it's not really hard to learn prompting. It's just practice, right? It's just writing. Yeah. I'm learning that it's allowing my product mind to build into the future. And that's where I get really excited is like my biggest challenge that I had when I built my business is I'm not technical. And that's weird to say I'm not a technical founder, but I didn't start this thing technically, but I have become technical. And what I've learned is that people call me the product guy because I've got ideas. I understand the empathy. I think about like what should happen and occur and how the things should happen. But my problem is that I need engineers to do it for me today because I can't do it. And I've got a brilliant group of engineers and I love them all. But the reality is like, if I didn't have them and I could just tell a bunch of AIs to do things, I could just spit it out and move forward fast. So I think we're still quite far away from that story and ideal, but it would be an incredible future that could come up. And to Amer's point, like that doesn't mean people are out of jobs. It just means that things are changing in the way that those jobs are. If there's 100,000 more small businesses, the jobs will still be there for those 100,000 small businesses that are groomed. Maybe the money no longer spreads as big. Maybe less companies become the big thing because anytime you produce something, if Bryan produces a product, I could be like, hey, AI, go to Bryan's website and make me the same thing. And boom, you can copy and duplicate. This is why I'm so bullish on the downloadable because the downloadable can't be seen, felt, and seen unless you have it, right? And the disconnect of being online potentially would cause the problem for the user and being able to duplicate it. So
it's true.
There's like weird things that I think about with it, but overall, that's how we use it today. And, as I say, we talk about it quite often because we see our competitors out there throwing out like, write a subject line or build a segment by writing it. And we think it's laughable because we understand that, yes, it's a marketing thing and people aren't. But to your point, people are going to get burned because they think that's AI. Yeah. That's not AI, guys. That's just...
It's barely machine learning.
Exactly. It's barely machine learning. And I don't think people know what the potential is right now. And, I was on a plane last night. 6-year-old, I don't know how old she was. I don't want to offend her. I doubt she'll ever listen to this, but she was an older lady, but she was like joking about like, why didn't, because we told them like, I'm coming out here for a pod. We were stranded on the runway for a while and I had to make friends. And so, and
this was after you opened up the...
and we leaned together. We leaned in together to keep warm on that cold Delta flight on the runway.
Jimmy's whispering in her ear like, you use AI.
Yeah. But no, she asked me what I'm going to Atlanta for, right? And she's like, what are you doing here? I said, oh, we're doing this like podcast and all this. And she goes, well, why don't you use Zoom? And I'm like, damn, she knows what Zoom is, right? Like first thing, like it's pretty impressive. Like 10 years ago, no one would say, damn, go to webinar. Like no one would have thought of that, right? And so like she said that and she goes, are you guys talking about AI? And I was like, whoa, like that's different. And I was like, yeah, like, that's one of our topics. And she was like, yeah, it's really cool how it talks back to you. How it can do my research for me. And I'm like, but you could do that on google.com already. But they like the fact like you can just type something in and it'll give you ideas.
You can just ask
suggestions. And and again, it feels dumb to ask someone a question, but it doesn't feel dumb to ask AI because the AI is not going to tell anyone, at least not today.
And the big difference too that I like, for example, the search engine of AI is in Google, once you ask a question, the session always repeats itself. Where the continuation in AI, you can build on previous prompts.
If you're in the same chat.
And kind of come down to that answer.
Now, hold on. Now, you guys started seeing how people are trying to add AI products, right? A perfect example is LinkedIn. I actually posted this to you guys.
Yes, you did.
Because it was freaking hilarious, right? And so LinkedIn, I had made a post. I think Bryan had made a post and I reposted it on LinkedIn. Follow me on LinkedIn. Shameless plug here. But Mark Cuban does, so you should too. All right. So anyway, it's true. They've seen the proof.
That's a good point.
But anyways, I posted something, and for some reason, because Bryan had talked about comparing marketing to an Italian restaurant at some point, the AI wanted to refer me to Italian restaurants, and it was like, "Would you like to know about Italian food?" And I was like, "Interesting." It couldn't delineate the thought process because it didn't make sense logically. Right there, he was trying to create we're doing something that is like an Italian restaurant, but it wasn't like it is about an Italian restaurant. So
it couldn't tell the difference.
It couldn't tell the difference. But
Yeah.
secondly, what I think is even more interesting is that they added this little thing now. And what it's going to do is literally detract away from the whole purpose of social media, which brings up the question. And I posted this on X like a couple days ago, but like, is it like eventually like, hey, let me get my AI to talk to your AI and make up a scheduling and a decision and it'll let us know? Like, is that the future potentially? Is your AI a personal assistant for you? Does it become a person that watches you and listens to you and interacts with you and then becomes you to be almost like the future of a VA for you?
I would think absolutely.
Yeah, I'd be like, go hit up, hey AI, hit up John's AI, schedule a meeting for me. We're going to talk about these things and make an agenda and shoot it over to him. Boom. 10 seconds later,
and
that
that's
can happen.
and even where it's at today, that's not a reach at
No.
all.
No.
A couple integrations.
Yeah. And that's kind of wild.
I think so. There's this app I tried, and I was very bullish on it, and it didn't work. It's called Motion, and what it does is you basically looks at your calendar and puts all these tasks that you want to work with and find spaces for it.
Sure.
And 90% of the time, what happened to me is I'll go to my calendar and see what it did, and it's like, that's not gonna work out. You know what?
6:30 a.m. We're called John. Like it's like wait. Like
it gives you it gives you parameters.
Okay.
Like and it works like from that calendar control, the functionality there is. But it's like there's like certain things like for example that it doesn't know. I may have a very intense migration integration call, and after that call, I'm really sometimes burnt out because it just takes a lot of energy. So one of my big things is it was like scheduling these like calls sometimes at these times, like this doesn't make sense. Or it was like splitting calls in these like 30-minute fragments. It's like, I can't really start this task for 30 minutes and then stop it. Like there's like all these things that I still feel at the end of the day, we like to control things.
I think it'll get there though.
You think so?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it will get there, but I think from a human standpoint, I think me personally, maybe I'll be proved wrong. I will still want to be the editor and say, I want to do it this way.
Yeah, but you could still have it get you to Brian's point, 80%, right?
Yeah.
My Mr. AI, my day looks a little too busy tomorrow. Will you reschedule the least important meeting?
Yeah.
And
That's a
it'd
great
say,
one.
Yeah.
it'd say, hey, I believe your 11 a.m. talking to Richard is your least important of the day. Do you want me to
Dude.
move it?
Product
Yeah.
idea. Why isn't there like a Calendly of AI where you just have an AI and you
And
have
then-
AI and just say, click here to talk to my AI and the
Yeah.
AI just talk and schedule a meeting.
But
Yeah.
imagine this. What's my least important meeting tomorrow? Your call with John Roman. You want me to cancel it? Sure. Dear John Roman, Amir requested me to cancel this call because it's the least important on his calendar.
But AI would not do that.
No.
Oh, really?
No.
But he wouldn't recommend an Italian restaurant?
but okay, that's saying all AIs are the same, right? LinkedIn's AI is nothing. I love LinkedIn.
I think
Wanna
they
sponsor us?
use ChatGPT.
If you want to sponsor us, LinkedIn, sure, but it's garbage then. and ChatGPT is not.
Yeah. I'm just assuming because Microsoft has a stake in ChatGPT.
No. So a lot of LinkedIn stuff, you remember like over the last year, have you ever get a pop-up and if you post enough, you get a pop-up that says, leave your insight and we'll reward you with this top creator thing.
Yeah.
You know what they did? They let everyone give their best practices and best ideas. And what's funny is most people were just using OpenAI to create it and put it in there. So they kind of learned off that model. But they were doing it and people were so into making sure that they're on social media and they're making their posts.
I wanted my little voice.
Yeah, you have the little
thing.
my
I have-
voice
yeah.
thing, right? Well, they say that they use that information to create this AI. That
Oh,
they're
some of those
using now.
answers were horrible.
Well, yeah,
Actually, they were. Yeah.
but that was a truth that they believed on, which is crazy, right? They used human input of Congress, a mass Congress of people, and then ultimately said, let's create AI and deploy it to create social media interaction, which is weird.
It is.
Right? I almost think that it's going to drive the anti-AI social media experience soon. Like something's going to come up in the social world where it's like, we are the anti-AI. And like, this is where human connections are authentic, like an app called Authentic or something. You know what I mean? Like, it's like the people who want to get away from it because there's always going to be a subsection, right? Books aren't dead. There's still
Right.
bookstores. You know, it's just.
But here's the
less
thing:
people.
do you want to be on that list when AI gets smart enough to identify you?
Listen,
Get all the users from that anti
Yeah.
app.
Listen, all together now. All hail AI. Like, you know what I mean? Let's get to it. You know, let's be real.
I'm
about
not
it.
joining that platform.
All hail AI. I'm in there, man. If you hear me in the future
We love
and you're
you,
watching
AI.
my
We
thing, I
love
love
you.
you, and
We love
please,
you.
please give me good things and nice things, and don't give me the bad stuff that I saw in Terminator.
So I'll round it out with a way we use it that's probably possibly use case for people listening to this. So we had it was two 10, 12, 14 page legal documents, some agreements, some deals we were working, and then 2 secondary waiver forms that were ancillary to the main docs. So we have 2 law firms we use pretty regularly. They're both here in Atlanta. One of them we ended up going to both of them, but went to one first. Told them what we were looking at, give us an idea of scope. They're not inexpensive. They're typically, I'd say, mean $600 an hour, and both came in about the same range between 10 and 15,000 for what we needed, which is not it's expensive, but for good lawyers,
That's normal. Yeah.
that's not out of ballpark. So what I did is I worked hard on a prompt. Probably spent 45 minutes working on the prompt. Some
You
slight
are
revisions.
vicious corporate lawyer who's here to make sure that you are sucking every penny out of my client.
So came up with a rough skeleton, got it to probably 80% of all 4 of those docs. I then took the docs to one of the law firms and I said, hey, I had sticker shock at your price. I had one of my buddies from school do some pro bono work. Will you fix this up, make sure it's okay? And genuine response, I mean, this is pretty good. I would change this. I would change this section.
That's wild.
So it still gave them probably, I think, $2,500. They did a few hours. They made some tweaks. They disagreed with a certain section and struck it, but they verbatim said, this is pretty good. It literally took $10K at least off of what they were going to charge.
That's crazy.
And it probably all in 2 hours worth of work.
Yeah, no, my buddy, he's got an app that he's building called Compilely or something like that, Compilely or something, and I'm probably butchering it, but he literally had that problem. He had spent so much money with his lawyer doing legal compliance. He was like, why isn't there something that can just plug in and spit back, to your point, good enough, and then you go take it the last mile with your lawyer?
Yeah.
And that, again, goes back to the thing, what is this going to change? Well, if I'm a law firm right now, I'm probably trying to figure out how to work with AI to
they have to embrace it.
get rid of paralegals. And when John emails me in, I can't quote him 15 grand anymore. I need to quote him 2,500 because that's what he's expecting, because he knows that if I'm doing my job well, I've got an AI paralegal that's reading through, creating a base, and then I'm doing the last human output of making sure that you're knowing all the ends of the detail, right? Yeah. So I think it's interesting.
One question I would have for that, and I'm going to probably butcher which website does this, but I think it's LegalZoom or something. They do those pre-made templates.
Yeah, LegalZoom, Rocket Lawyer. There's a few different ones.
I mean, given that those have been around for 10, 15, 20 years, I wonder, what's the difference between interacting with AI and just using a template that you pay $100?
So the templates are simply templates, and they're not asking enough of the right questions.
Not specific to the deal.
And it only goes one way, right?
Yeah.
You can only fill out with AI. You can fill out and then it can spit back and you can ask it what the weak points of this contract is. You know?
That's going to tell you.
But no, I agree with that. But I'm saying why wouldn't you be able to get a template and then go to your lawyers hey, this is my template, what's missing? To reduce the cost of.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah. Nothing would stop you from doing that.
No, but my point is to that is we've had these options for such a long time.
Yes. And
we're still not utilizing it as a society.
Yeah, but I think AI has a brand behind it now. And in Jimmy's story on the plane, where my wife now, we went to Disney, which you guys know, she's a Disney whore. Don't listen. Hopefully, she's not.
Whoa!
She's not.
Strike that?
She's not.
Wait, let's back it up a second. What now?
Yeah, we lost it. So
I never thought I would hear those 2 words in the same sentence.
So she loves Disney.
Okay. Yeah.
So my wife loves Disney and loves it so much. And she loves it so much that she's like, oh, I want to make some extra money on the side and become a Disney travel agent. Okay. Babe, do you? Love it, right? Love it.
There's money to be made there.
Love it.
Yeah.
100%, right? But now, like the lady on the plane was like, I wonder like if I could use like AI to help me, right? Even though there's been stuff on the market for her to, help facilitate this for years. It's just now AI has this like brand behind it to a degree, right? It's become the Nike. Everyone knows Nike. Everyone knows Apple. Yeah. Now everyone knows AI, even a 65-year-old lady or my wife, right? So she's like, well, I'm going to use it to, write my bio, make me a website, make me a logo, make me business cards. But all this stuff was out there. Like Canva's been making business cards and logos for for a long time. But now AI has like, it's literally a brand in itself. And it's so spread that everyone from all walks of life know about it. And it's enabling people to start, even though they could have been thinking this way, it's enabled them to start. It's
helped train them on how.
And there's a low barrier to entry technically, because if you're on Meta or Instagram or Twitter even now, or and LinkedIn, they all have their own built-in AI features now. So you're getting exposed to it.
Yeah.
Though it might not be good, I can tell you with Meta, like their image generation on their AI is actually pretty decent.
Meta's AI is pretty, better than most.
It's actually pretty freaking good. Like you can tell like AI to build me an image of this or whatever and tell it to do it. And we have this like internal project wherever all our teams like build fake brands. And so we used AI to build a bunch of images using Meta's AI because it had just released, and we had all of it in the product. And it's stupid, but it's it's for rock climbers. It's like chalk, but it's like not chalk. So we're like, make me a thing for this, and I want pink chalk and this rock look and this thing, and boom! Like seconds later, it spit it out, and I was like, dude, like someone who's like, I love graphics, images, and stuff like that, but I'm very non-artistic and non-design centric. I just know what I like. Yeah, it's like good enough. You know what I mean? To your point, it's good enough. Right. And if I need to take it to the next step, then I'll go to a designer. Right. Know?
And you can take that to the designer.
Yeah, correct.
Well, one thing I'm curious about, I don't know if you guys know if there's a stat on this, exactly what you were saying about so many people using it and how brandable it is. And I'm speaking this from my experience. There's a ton of things throughout my day that I could, for example, just use ChatGPT for that could make my day more efficient. I sometimes forget about it because I get caught up in the moment and things like that. I'm curious for you guys, how often do you forget about it when you could have actually used it in retrospect? And two, I'm curious from like ChatGPT perspective, how many people are actually power users compared to experimenters?
That's a great.
Yeah. So for me, I'm very old school in the sense that I have a written to-do list that sits in front of me, and I handwrite it. I've used a million different apps, cannot make them work. I have to physically write it. There's something about the actual process of writing it. But in the top, I have these everyday activities, little 10-minute, 5-minute things that I force myself to do every day. And one of them is use AI. And I'm constantly looking down at my notepad. And because of that, I just see it. So like I've forced myself to adapt and use it every day.
But do you, I mean, I use it probably every day too, but I don't use it for everything I could or should.
Oh no, I'm trying to teach myself and train myself to use it as much as I should. I'm not utilizing it nearly.
Yeah.
Not many people are, I don't think.
No, and I think that's the challenge. Like I even, like when my computer boots up in the morning, one of the tabs that's open is ChatGPT. So like I always have it open, but I still don't get myself to use it.
Remember when you would put programs in the startup folder?
Yeah.
Up and they would.
Yeah.
So I think this would be kind of cool to do live. Jimmy sent this AI music app, and I literally I want to just show how crazy this is because this blew my mind. I literally just typed in John loves Androids, we love Apple. John needs to buy an Apple, and Suno, I believe is Suno Inc. Right? So I wanted it to be a hip hop song, and I literally just hit generate lyrics. So. I mean, within literally, what was that? I mean, how many seconds was I talking? A few
10 seconds.
It'll literally just play the song it'll give you two outputs based on, the lyrics that AI generated. And I just think that's like such a really fascinating, it like blew my mind.
Yeah.
And that's where the technology is headed. So this song's called, for all the people out there, this song's called Android Love. Okay.
Let's play. Put it up on the
it's written by DJ AI. Okay. DJ Suno. And yeah, sit back and enjoy. Here we go.
Androids can't get enough that sauce stuff. He talks about features in customization, but our iPhones give us pure temptation. But our iPhones give us pure temptation. John wants to buy Apple. What a surprise, but we're here to tell him
I mean, that song's fire.
Dude, that song is a banger. Like,
That's a banger.
Yeah.
That's a banger.
Dude.
Boy band.
Wow, dude.
And what did that happened in what, 8 seconds?
8 seconds.
Is that free to use?
No, I paid. It's
So
credit.
cheap.
It's like it's a credit model, so you
Okay.
have to pay for X amount of credits for the outputs of the songs, but it's cheap.
Yeah.
You know.
So something we need to do. We need to put a bunch of links at the end of.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. We'll definitely put the links in the show notes on
Yeah.
YouTube, for
Yeah.
example. So we want to make sure people watching on YouTube will bribe him with links on YouTube.
Yeah.
So we mentioned a lot of random ass tools today, but we'll make sure we put them all on there. All right, guys. We're getting towards the top here, but I want to take a zap back now and kind of talk about something random, because I think it's always fun to mix these things up. And with the last 10 minutes or so, I always tell people, like, I think it's crazy, like, as we look forward and we see stuff. But as you're talking, let's just pretend, Bryan, there's a 20-year-old Bryan now, and you're talking to 20-year-old Bryan in 2024 today. What do you tell 20-year-old Bryan that he should be doing in life and how he should be able to win and be better than you today?
Yeah, I have a really cool outlook, because where I am now is nowhere near where I thought I was at that age, right? Where we looked at how our parents grew up and our grandparents grew up. You go to work and you try to climb the ladder wherever you're working and try to be, who you are with that company for 30, 40 years. And my dad, my mom, their parents, they lived life very linearly. Like in regards to, it was like a hallway. Their life was a hallway. And there's so many other different rooms that I would challenge 20-year-old Bryan to open. So many doors that, I walked past for so long because I thought I had to get to the room at the end of the hallway, when there are so many other, houses to go inside of, doors to open. And I wasn't as open as I am now in regards to really like going with my gut and saying, oh, I really love this. Let me open this door. Instead, it was my mindset was always to get to the end of the hallway. I never really wanted to really open any other door. So I would challenge 20-year-old Bryan, when you're going about life in school, after school, whatever the case may be, whether we're talking with about work and our career, family, to challenge him to open up every door that he walks past, because you never know what's inside.
So explore opportunities.
Explore opportunity.
I like it. I'll shorten that there. Amer, what about you? What would you think?
I would probably encourage myself to be a lot more comfortable with failure. Some of the things that when I was early on, and I'm now a lot more open about it, and then I share with people. I share some things with you guys about my later life ambitions. But one of my things was like I kind of hid what I was doing, so in case I fail, like people wouldn't look at me the wrong way, like I wasn't capable. And when I was failing or in process of failing, I would like fight it so much and kind of like stretch out the pain instead of saying like, okay, I failed, let's redo it and do it better.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of people, like when I talk to them, everyone's afraid of starting something because of failure.
Yep.
But I think failure is actually one of the coolest things you can go through, because every time you redo it, and even to get the agency where I'm today, I probably failed God knows how many times, I can't even count. But I would just loved if I was to say failure is okay. It's a good thing. It's part of growing.
Yeah.
And I wish I would have allowed myself to take bigger risks so I can fail more.
So explore opportunities, embrace failure. John?
So I look at, my path, and would I change anything? Not necessarily. I think like each of the chapters in my life, from poker to the corporate sales world, like each of them made me a better version afterwards, and they build on top of each other, which, I wouldn't change anything necessarily. What I would advise a younger me to do would be find and focus and spend time on your core group, on your friends that can be business opportunities with you, stuff like that, and really invest in that. I have that now. I didn't have that for a long time, and you end up wearing too much hats and you burn yourself out at times. And that would be the advice.
Nice.
Find that core group ASAP.
Find that core group, explore opportunities, embrace failure. I mean, to me, it kind of wraps up with mine, and I'll make it simple. Be a sponge. I think to your point, I didn't explore enough opportunities. I was too strong-headed, too tunnel vision towards end goal. I mean, I kind of go with all of you guys. Like, I was super proudful and prideful back in my 20s, of course. And then to your point, like, I didn't go learn enough, right? I didn't go learn enough and find enough support people. We're all in this room together, but we all tend to be like leaders in our own way. And when you're a leader, sometimes you tend to like lead and like forget to learn. And I think that's been like my biggest learning as I've gotten older in my 40s is, dude, I got so much shit to learn still in my life. And I wish I'd thought about that more. And though education wasn't my forte back in my day, I definitely liked money and I liked growing things and building things. And I wish I would have done more there. So that's what I would tell myself. All right, guys. Well, with that, we are now at the top of the hour as we finish this thing up. Guys, another great pod here. Episode 3, we talked about AI. I think this is going to be a reoccurring topic, I think, guys. Like, we're going to talk about this in like 3 months and be like, holy shit, did you see what ChatGPT did? Or, or whoever, Llama or whoever the heck, Grok or someone took off and be like, dude, are we going next level, right?
But are we going to get replaced in about 10 episodes by AI?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
That would be
I hope
dope.
that we have Jimmy AI and it's like, and then John AI with his knives everywhere. And you know what I mean? And he got rapping and he's going to rap his own pod from the future. Like, why even talk? You might as well produce music and stuff like that.
And AI will still mispronounce my name.
100%.
100%.
AI is going to be like, Grazuzadnika. Like, you know what I mean? Maybe. But actually, that's a great one. Can it figure out weird pronunciations of name based around languages, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So with that, guys, this is John, Amer, Bryan. My name is Jimmy Kim. We are excited that you have joined the ASOM Pod here for another great episode. Next episode, we're going to jump into talking about social media. And for those who are listening that are a little bit more into SaaS, I'll be explaining my social media journey a little bit more. We're going to jump into just generally how social media can affect brands and both at a business and an agency level and how we're all successfully utilizing it or unsuccessful. I think actually you got your Instagram very successful. John's showing back up now, but he's always had some level of following, something that I've done to grow tremendous. And I think you're still trying to get into it more and more. And we're just talking. He's like, you make your own posts? I'm like, yeah. And we'll talk about that. And I'm not using AI to write it. Well, I am using it to check my spelling because my spelling is so bad. But I guess I'm just using the same thing you would use for Word, basically, right?
Yep.
I always tell I'm like, check my spelling of my post, and it's like 17 things are wrong, and I'm like, that sounds good.
Checks
Let's
out.
post that anyways.
I use Grammarly.
Yeah. Grammarly's AI too, right?
Yeah,
They'll call themselves AI, but they're word spell check. Yeah, this is where marketers ruin. I'll keep saying marketers ruin nice things. AI is definitely getting ruined a little bit in the terminology, but I am excited. I'm bullish about the future.
You're ruining nice things, Brian.
Thank you.
You're ruining nice things.
Appreciate that.
That just means he's maximizing the dollar.
That's
how we position it for corporate talk. He's
Yes.
maximizing the dollar of high efficiency. So with that, guys, thank you guys watching. Again, streaming, if you're listening to it on Apple or Spotify or whatever they do on Android, if you're listening to any of those, please come to YouTube. We intentionally want to be video first. We want you to see us.
Yes.
We're using and spending way too much money to have nice cameras here so you can hear us, watch us, look. We'll put all the links in our show notes on our YouTube. So if you heard something and you're like, yo, I need to really learn about that, you're only going to get listed on him. And then to our friends and family, thank you for continuing to watch and getting our 300 views a week or whatever that we're doing here.
Yeah.
So
400.
maybe I don't know.
More now.
We'll see. Maybe 422.
Yeah.
We're not ambitiously aiming high here, but we do hope that you've been enjoying it so far. Please let us know comments. You can find us all on social media. We'll put our social media links down there too.
Yep.
DM us if you guys have an idea, you want to hear us talk about something, or you're just curious to chat to us. We all are very friendly on social, and we're happy to chat there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. With that, guys, episode 3, that's a wrap.
And
Have a
here's
good
our,
one.
our outro song.
Oh, we got an outro song
called Android Love, AI generated music.
Let's
Welcome to the ASOM Pod, where we talk a lot. E-com is the path that we walk a lot. From 4 point of views when we're talking shop.